morning, family. The hardest part of our relationship with God is when God tests your relationship with Him to go from wanting what God can give you versus wanting God Himself in a relationship with Him and whatever comes with that. When we, in our life, are walking with God, we can oftentimes want a transaction with God. We want to say the prayers, we want to do our job, and then we want to get what we need or what we want. And when that does not happen, it can be very painful. And it's a test. It puts everything to the test. Because now God is saying to you, do you want what can come from me, or do you want me? Now, today in the gospel, we see two really, really important healings, miracles that happen. We see this man who comes to ask for his daughter. His name is Jairus. He asks for his daughter to be healed. And on the way, Jesus is walking with him to go to heal his daughter. This woman comes up. And she interrupts Jesus' original purpose and his original mission, which is to go to Jairus' home to heal his daughter. This other woman comes up. And she has a flow of blood for 12 years. 12 years, the same age of this little girl. This little girl, maybe for 12 years, had a beautiful life. She got sick. Or maybe she's been suffering for 12 years. This woman has spent everything. She has done everything that she can. She spent money on doctors, and she's tried her best to better her situation, to better her life, and to fix or to heal herself. And you would think maybe all of that was for nothing. She finally meets Jesus. She gets her chance. And Jesus, she touches the fringe of his garment, right? Just the very, very tip of it. And she's healed. We might think, wow, must be nice. She just touched him and boom. But we forget that for 12 years he was begging and praying and going to doctors and nothing. She suffered. She didn't give up though, did she? She didn't stop. Doctors weren't working. Maybe for her, nothing was working anymore. She was desperate. She doesn't give up. She's healed on the spot, right? Jesus says, who touched me? This is Jesus, who is the second person of the Trinity, who is God himself, who created her. He knows exactly who she is. He knows her. He knows her name. He knows the minute she was created. He knows how many hairs are on her head. He knows everything about her. Why is he telling her, come forward? Why do you think he's telling her, come forward? Because he doesn't want a transaction with her. He wants her to encounter him. Because if she would have just taken his power, got healed, she could have just walked away and been like, okay, good, I got what I needed from God, which is what majority of us do. I think all of us have done it before. It's safe to say that when we get what we want from God, it's very easy for us to maybe slack in prayer, maybe not really pray as much, not come to church as much. We don't really care about God as much because we got what we need and what we want. Think of when you pray the hardest. When you want something. God, make sure that this business deal goes through. God, make sure that I pass my test. God, I really want a spouse. God, I really want a child. And that's when we're praying our hardest, isn't it? So this woman, She gets not just healed, but she gets an encounter with Jesus. She gets to meet him. She gets to see him. She gets to actually not just touch his clothes, but to have a human experience with him. And the same thing with the little girl. Jesus could have said, after the man came and the servant came and said, hey, don't even bother him anymore. Jesus doesn't need to come. The girl is dead. He could have said, go home, your daughter is healed. He could have, just like that, he would have been healed. What does he do? He goes to her house. And he touches her hand, and he says, rise. So, my point here is this. If you're waiting on God to do something in your life, and it's not happening, then all we can do is do what's on us and what's on me to do, and then to just focus on my relationship with God, to focus on my encounter with God, to find an encounter with God. And what do I mean by an encounter? What I mean is when you can experience God as going from something conceptual to something real, to an actual, real, live being, where you're amazed that he's real, and you can feel him, and you can see him, and you can sense him close to you, and you can hear him. That is what God wants for all of us. It's difficult when you're waiting on God for something, especially for those of us who are single. And I want to speak to the single people right now. I have a lot of beautiful friends who are single right now. Young people, beautiful people who are single. And they're like, Father, I can't find anybody. There's nothing out there. The guys say all the girls are expired. And all the girls say all of the guys are little boys. And they're not grown up. And you know what? Maybe there's truth to both. Maybe both ends have work to do. You're waiting on God and you're praying on God to give you a spouse, to help you find that person. Now, for those of you who are already married or not in that place of life right now, maybe this isn't for you, but it really does apply to everybody. What I want to say to you is this. If you're single and you're looking for somebody, it's painful. I have so many friends who say to me, Father, I invest, I take a risk, I open up my heart to that person, I invest hours and hours trying to get to know that person, and then all of a sudden, boom, they ghost me. Gone. Not even an explanation, not even like nothing, just boom, gone. Like a genie. And then you have to try that all over again. Like, okay, so this person ghosted me. Now I have to go and I have to go let my guard down, try this all over again with another person, and then it may not work with that person. And you just keep trying and you just keep trying, and nothing. And your heart gets cold at some point, doesn't it? Because you're like, I don't want to try anymore. What's the point of trying? Again, whether you're single, whether this is a business problem, whether it's with your children, it all applies. But my heart has been with the single people, and it always has been. So if today you're single and you're frustrated because you're like, God, when is this person coming? You could be maybe like Jairus, who is trying to get his daughter healed, and then this other woman comes and she gets healed, and then his daughter dies, and you're like, well, my daughter just died. Jesus, what are you doing here? I thought you were coming to heal my daughter. And you could be looking around at everybody else and going, why is everybody else getting married? Why is this happening for everybody else? Everybody else is getting engaged. And you're thinking to yourself, what about me? When is this going to happen for me? What I want to say to you is this. Focus on Jesus right now. St. Paul talks about you can live two lives. You can live according to the flesh, or you can live according to the Spirit. And he says, if you're going to live according to the flesh, these are the things that are going to come. Impurity. We know what that means for the adults. Impurity. drunkenness, party spirit, anger, pride, lust, greed, envy, all of these things, he says. So my question for you is this. You're a single person, you're a guy, and you're single, and you're saying to yourself, all the girls are expired. It's all their fault. I want to ask you, are you living according to the flesh, or are you living according to the Spirit? That's what Jesus wants you to ask yourself today. Are you living according to the flesh, meaning, are you living to experience a woman, or to choose and commit to a woman? There's a difference. You want to experience a woman, but you don't want to commit to her? You know what? The girls are right. You have a lot of maturing to do. You have a lot of healing to do. And we all do. We all do. And all of us in our own way. But are we doing the work to heal? If you're 35 years old, 40 years old, and you're a man, and you're not married, and you don't desire marriage because you want to live according to the flesh, meaning party spirit, impurity, envy, lust, all of these things that St. Paul said in the reading, that's abnormal. Something's wrong with that. There has to come a point, my brothers and sisters, when you mature and you say to yourself, I no longer want to live according to the flesh. I no longer want to live that party spirit of going out and being with this person and being with that person and having fun. There gets a point where you're like, I'm done with that. I'm ready to actually settle down. I'm ready to actually commit. I'm ready to sacrifice my life for a person. That's when you know you've matured. If that has not happened for you, my brother, there's some maturing that needs to happen. There's some healing that needs to happen. That's abnormal. It's built in us as men to be pursuers, initiators, leaders. That's what it means to be masculine. To lead a woman, to protect a woman, to guide a woman. That's what it means to be masculine. And nowadays, women have become more aggressive because, you know what? Men are not initiating. They're not leading. They're not guiding. They're not protecting. They're wanting to experience a woman, but they don't want to commit to a woman. And so what's happening? Women are now in the masculine, aren't they? They're becoming aggressive because they want to be loved. They want to give themselves. Men want to give themselves in one way, women want to give themselves in another way. Both of them struggle. We all sin. Are you living according to the flesh or to the Spirit? Now, all of us are battling the flesh and the Spirit. All of us. One minute we want to live holy, the next minute we want to live not holy. All of us in our own way. If you're single, I want to talk to you again. You have to find your relationship with Jesus first. A spouse is not going to fix it. Money is not going to fix it. People are not going to fix it. We need Jesus. We need that encounter with Jesus. Otherwise, we're going to get what we want from Jesus and maybe not really look back. What Jesus wants is an encounter with Him for all of us. And so today, let's ask for that grace. Like, Lord, I'm waiting on a spouse, I'm waiting on a job, I'm waiting on a child, I'm waiting on a whatever. It's not happening. Lord, let me seek you. Let me find my relationship with you. Let me make you number one. Let me work on and do everything in my power to find you first. And in finding you, I find everything. Amen?